On Thai PBS World Tonight, Pattaya remains heavily flooded following 3 hours of downpour last night. Economists and investors urge the government to tackle long-term economic challenges. And a law is being drafted for development of Thailand's Landbridge Project.
Good evening, you are watching Thai PBS World Tonight. I'm Frank Kanshi.
And I'm Nad Bunak.
We begin tonight's program with a very tragic story, of course, in Pattaya, because the flooding situation is not only remain in northern part of Thailand, also in this resort city, Pattaya. I'm pretty sure that you may have seen this picture on the screen right now. You can see one of the cars on the water right now, which circulated on Thai social media this morning, showing a car being submerged underwater. The resort city of Pattaya has been heavily flooded since late last night, following 3 hours of torrential rainfall. Low-lying areas and roads such as the Pattaya Third Road were turned into virtual canals, impassable to small vehicles. Numerous cars and motorcycles became submerged as their owners were caught off guard by the sustained downpour. Pattaya police were out in force to advise motorists not to venture onto the flooded roads. The rain has eased up this morning, but it will take several hours for the flood water to drain into the sea. Meanwhile, riverside residents and businesses in 11 provinces in the Chao Phraya River Basin, including Bangkok, have been advised to brace for rising water levels after the Royal Irrigation Department increased the volume of water being discharged through the Chao Phraya Dam in province to about 1,500 cubic meters per second today. An urgent letter addressed to the governors of the 11 provinces advises precautionary measures be taken and the public be kept informed, especially located along the Chao Phraya River. The increased rate of water discharge due to the volume of water from northern runoffs rising to about 1,900 cubic meters per second raises the water level in the downstream reaches of the river by about 18 centimeters. Riverside residents in Nonthaburi have found their communities flooded as the river overflowed last night. One of the residents say that the water level today is higher than in previous days. So you can see on the screen right now, you can see those water discharge from the canal and the water level rising in Chao Phraya River. And as you can see, the level of water has increased. And people, of course, alongside the riverbank, they have been affected by the water.
That looks horrendous to begin with. And if we go back to Pattaya, just imagine you're driving and you're being submerged underwater. That would be like a nightmare for many people, even though it's rainy season. But I don't think anyone wants to be put in this situation when they're driving through the floods and you're almost underwater.
And it could happen anytime when downpour happens, because of course you can see the amount of water dropping from the air, sky was very, very huge. And of course sometimes if you drove through the flooded area, you think, okay, your car can pass that, but eventually submerged.
It's not easy, even for cars like these. And imagine motorists, because many people in Pattaya would commute through motorcycles. Traveling in Pattaya, especially when it's flooded, it's going to be definitely a very difficult task. But there have been questions as to why Pattaya experiences repeated flooding, because a few years ago it experienced the worst flooding in almost a decade. And some of the experts pointed out that because Pattaya has a lot of lowland areas and many of the areas surrounding Pattaya were turned into real estate projects, including construction sites and even railway projects. And that has interfered the drainage system, because in those areas that were turned into construction sites used to be areas that can block the flood waters. But when these places are gone, then the flood water can gush into the city. So that was why Pattaya has experienced repeated flooding in recent years. And so imagine Pattaya being like a large hole. And the other surrounding areas used to be areas that can block the floodwaters. And then when it turned into construction sites, nothing can block the floodwaters anymore. So everything just gushed into Pattaya city. So that is what experts analyzed previously when they experienced the worst flooding a few years ago. And at the same time, they also mentioned that the drainage system in Pattaya is already old and it does not have the capacity to drain this much floodwaters anymore. So this needs to be fixed.
So you talk about two facades. One is the urban design, of course. Why, of course, that particularly land should reserve for flooding situation like right now. And secondly, it's about the old drainage system. Why the sewage system wouldn't be updated to the modern era? As in right now we can see, of course, on the screen, motorcyclists, they have to go through the flooded area and those costs too.
And the drainage system requires a lot of work if it needs to be fixed. But then this is something that is quite unexpected. Not necessarily unexpected, but seeing the cars being underwater like that, no one wants to be in that situation.
Yes, because it's pretty dangerous. When your car really drives into the flooded area and it's already submerged, it's very hard to get out from the car.
Exactly. And now let's turn to Thai politics. Today there has been a budget bill debate for the fiscal year of 2025. And one of the topics that are being debated is, of course, the digital wallet scheme. And the People's Party MP, Sirikanya Tansakul, grilled the caretaker government over the digital wallet scheme during the parliamentary debate on the budget for the fiscal year of 2025. She stated that there is currently no clarity of how the scheme will be implemented, including the possible changes to the scheme, as they are waiting for the new Prime Minister, Pattaya Shinawatra, and its cabinet members to be sworn in and for them to deliver their policy statement to Parliament. And so far, many people and the parliamentarians have learned that the 10,000 baht benefit will be distributed in cash instead of the digital money. Sri Kanya also pointed out that the government's order to ask 5 state-owned banks to help fund the scheme would be enough or not. The People's Party MP even went on to say that the parliament does not have to approve the entire budget for the digital wallet scheme yet, as they should wait for Pattaya to deliver its policy statement first. She even suggested that the government should implement related fiscal laws to ensure that all 14.5 million eligible users will receive the cash benefit. Meanwhile, the MPs of the Pheu Thai party defended that the government aims to boost the country's GDP to 5%. And one of the schemes that can boost the economy is no other than the digital wallet scheme. In other words, if the scheme is not implemented, they will not be able to reach its target. Deputy Finance Minister Jolapan Amorwiwat also clarified that the government's move to ask 5 state-owned banks to help fund the scheme goes in accordance with the fiscal laws and has already gone through much consideration and discussion. So what Sri Kanya mentioned is that they have to wait for Pattaya to deliver her policy statement, and that was when the details will be revealed, and then what they can do so that the digital wallet scheme can be implemented efficiently.
Actually, what Sirikanya said is because of unclear discussion at this moment, and they have to wait the cabinet list to be completed. At this moment. And Sirikanya talk about the funding yet. Of course, the funding is still ambiguous at this point because she pointed out that 5 state banks could really fund it or not, because maybe this funding is not enough for the digital wallet scheme. Another point is that, of course, the Pattaya government right now aim at 5% GDP growth. This is a very high GDP growth compared to what World Bank or other organization predict for this year. It's only 2.5 to 2.7%.
And some predicted only 1.8 as well.
Yes, so 5% is a very high standard there. And another point I think is about, of course, the government already talked about to lower the digital wallet scheme budget to 450 billion baht at this moment, but the policy is still not clear. cash for all or cash, just the first phase for cash for vulnerable group.
Right.
And other than that, people can get the 10,000 baht via digital wallet scheme. So this is still unclear at this moment.
Yes, and we've just mentioned about the cabinet list. It is still unclear, but Pat Tongtan Shinawatra did mention that everything will be finalized by this week and they will be submitted and approved. And then after everything is approved, then they will deliver the policy statement.
So we still have to wait. Of course, the cabinet list and Pat Tongtan Shinawatra can walk into parliament to do the policy statement, but it still takes time because we haven't seen any clear statement about the cabinet list yet. Today's Tuesday, so we have 3 days to go.
Right.
Other than that, of course, we talk about digital wallet scheme. Some economic analysts talk about this as a very short-term project. But of course, I have the chance to talk to World Bank economists and foreign investors. They say that they want the government to focus on how to tackle long-term challenges. So policies to control corruption and expedite digital transformation are more crucial. Let's have a look about this scoop. The Pattaya-led administration is endeavoring to boost the economy by implementing the much publicized digital wallet scheme. But economists and foreign investors say the stimulus package cannot solve the long-term challenges ahead. Despite the scheme potentially contributing to a boost in Thailand's economy, a World Bank economist told Thai PBS World that structural reform is more significant in sustaining higher and long-term economic development.
The fiscal stimulus that target the short terms is important, but it will not be enough to support sustainable growth. So eventually, Thailand will need to undergo structural reforms, which include the transition into higher value-added productions and services, as well as the investment for regional connectivity, the development of the secondary cities, adaptation to climate change, as well as the labor market development to improve the skilled professionals. So by putting all this reform together, it will allow a boost to higher and more sustainable growth over the long terms.
As for foreign investors, while Thailand's geographic location is advantageous for foreign direct investment, transparent and clear policies are needed to attract new FDI. The chairwoman of Joint Foreign Chambers of Commerce noted that it is necessary to make a positive change in corruption.
I believe the new government, they need to share a clear vision, and with the vision and implementation of that vision, which is through transparent policies. Thailand should not hesitate to take bold actions. For investors, it is important that we focus on the strengths, and I think Thailand should find areas that they're very strong at and then really focus on those. If you look at Thailand's competitiveness, the Thailand competitiveness have changed a bit on the CPI ranking. It's 108 of 180. This is not so good. It's areas that needs to be worked on, and I know that the government is working on it. But it's not just the government responsibility. I think it's important that when we talk about the CPI ranking, it's important to also say that government, civil society, academia, and private sector, we need to work hand in hand to make a positive change.
To develop the economy positively, action to tackle climate change, sustainability, and waste management are essential. The chairwoman said that the government should protect SMEs when implementing this policy, since they could see a huge impact during the transition. Lawar added that fast digitalization can maintain Thailand's competitiveness in the region. Rapid transformation to a digital government and incentives are key to attracting new investors.
Another area is digital transformation. We need speed in this. The world is changing rapidly, so we need to take up a digital government, preferably with a single sign-on. And last one, but very important for investors. We talk about incentives many times. We talk about the need of incentives, but incentives are important, tax incentives in particular, but as important is the access to available labor. So if you look at Thailand right now, the government is focusing through BOI and EEC, we're focusing on on newer target industries, more innovative and more technology directed industries. And in order to succeed in those industries, then we need to also have the workforce available. So I think it's a need for both education and training and upskilling and reskilling, as is it important to have a more freer movement of skilled labor during this time.
In addition, high household debt looms over the economy. The Economists warn that although the 10,000 baht boost via digital wallet scheme could infuse cash, the private consumption has decreased gradually. Policy to help SMEs and to incentivize the tourism sector are also vital.
We see that there is a risk of slowing down of the domestic consumptions due to high levels of household debt of as high as 91% of GDP, which is higher when compared to other ASEAN countries. And there is also the risk of financial distress among the small and medium enterprises. The current flood situations in the northern part of Thailand is also adding to the risk of the economic slowdown. We have seen so far that in terms of the number of tourist visitors is almost reaching the pre-pandemic levels. So this means the additional boost that will come from the tourism sectors will be quite limited. So it will be critical for Thailand to come up with a policy measure to strategically unlock the potential of the tourism sector, including the increase of the capacity as well as the quality of the tourism industry. And over the long terms, we project that growth is likely to become quite moderate due to the structural challenges that Thailand is facing.
Frank and Shi reporting for Thai PBS World. So of course, in this group, World Bank economists talk about actual climate change, flooding situation as what we have seen right now, talent development, and of course, the foreign investor, chairwoman of JFCCT, also told me that corruption is what the government should solve immediately because the CPI ranking corruption perception index of Thailand is 108 in 180 countries.
And corruption is the biggest concern among the economists and investors as well. So this is something that needs to be fixed urgently. And at the same time, other economic policies need to be implemented, not only just the digital wallet scheme.
Other than that, of course, to talk about, this is what the project that Siddhartha was saying, the previous Prime Minister always claimed is the Landbridge Project. Apart from the digital wallet scheme, this Landbridge Project, a mega infrastructure project in southern part of Thailand to connecting Gulf of Thailand and the Andaman Sea, we might see more details from the present government. The Ministry of Transport is drafting the Southern Economic Corridor Bill to support the construction and operation of the Pattaya Party's Landbridge mega project. When complete, the Landbridge will reduce the voyage time and distance from the Indian to the Pacific Ocean by bypassing the Straits of Malacca. Caretaker Transport Minister said he expects the bill to become law in September next year, if it is approved by the Cabinet, endorsed by Parliament, and granted royal assent. Once the bill becomes law, he said, an SEC office will be established as the vehicle through which the multi-billion baht project will be implemented, adding that the office will be responsible for the design of the train system and motorway linking the port on both sides. He also said an environmental and health impact assessment expected to be completed next year. The Transport Ministry has estimated that the land bridge will reduce the time to ship cargo between the Indian and Pacific Oceans by an average of 4 days and cut transport cost by 15%. And of course, this is the good side about it, but some analysts say that this might be wasting budget of multi-billion budget because how to, because of course the Strait of Malacca is already a very historical route for boats to go through, no matter from Pacific Ocean to Indian or another way around. But right now, Thailand wants to break the route. What do you think about it?
Well, because the Strait of Malacca is a very busy route. So that is why they have decided to come up with this Landbridge Project. But in fact, the Landbridge Project is nothing new because it has been in talks for so many years already, but it was not under the name of the Landbridge Project. They came up with other names before, whether it's Klong Hotkra, which was the Thai name of the project, and now it has been evolved into the Landbridge Project. So just to give a background for those who may be lost about what the Landbridge Project is all about, it's a mega infrastructure project which will connect the Gulf of Thailand with the Andaman Sea. And based on the details from the government, they said that this will link Chumphon province on the Gulf Coast with Ranong province on the Andaman coast. And the projects that will be involved will be a road and rail system for the transport of goods between the two ports. And at the same time, the main purpose of the Landbridge Project is that it will shorten the distance for cargo that is currently being used in the Straits of Malacca, and they say that it would save about 4 transit days. And this mega infrastructure project will include several things, whether it's the development of the deep sea ports in Chumphon and Ranong provinces, and there's also a motorway and the railway linking between the two provinces as well. And the Thai government has been trying to push for the Landbridge Project for many years already, and especially during the Thai administration, they have promised that the Landbridge Project will actually boost the economy between 2% and 10% of the GDP, creating an economic value of about 500 billion baht each year. So we'll have to wait and see what the Pattaya government will discuss about the Landbridge Project and how they will continue.
I think some audience, they might think about, oh, this is a very, very unclear project at this moment, because some people say that, oh, are we digging a canal?
No,
it's not a canal. We are building motorway train system to link two deep sea ports from two sides. But how about the environmental impact? How about the economic boost there by this project? Of course, they talk about 2 to 10%, which is a very large scale there.
Large scale, but then the reason why the project has been stalled for many years is because of the budget concerns and also environmental concerns, because you can see that the local people have been protesting against the Landbridge Project, because when they do any construction, it will involve villages and the communities who have been living there for so many years.
And they need to be relocated.
Yes. Have to be relocated. And like we said earlier, the Landbridge Project has been in talks for many years and in different names and different projects. So we'll have to find out how this government will proceed with this as well. And we'll end the program with another tragic story which went viral on Thai social media recently. And this may serve as a reminder that not all pets are suitable as pets, especially when it comes to dogs. You might think that dogs are all cute, not necessarily, because an 18-year-old man was killed by 3 American bully dogs in his bedroom last Saturday. So the owner of the 3 American bully dogs, which killed his 18-year-old brother, has announced that he will give them away to anyone who's interested. The grieving owner said that although he loves the dogs, he can no longer keep them because of what happened recently. And some organizations and individuals have contacted him expressing their interest in adopting these dogs. He said that he's considering these requests and will make a decision soon. So to give you a recap, the fatal attack occurred in Lopburi's Mueang district on August 30th. On the day of the attack, no one else was in the house. And based on the footage from the house's security system, we have to give you a trigger warning because it it contains descriptions of how the man was attacked by 3 dogs. So based on the footage, it shows the victim entering his brother's bedroom to play with the dogs. He was then seen running from the room with the dogs chasing and attacking him on the stairs, and his body was found the following day. A forensic examination revealed that he had died for over 12 hours before he was found, and he had deep wounds to his face and body and has lost a large amount of blood. The owner said that he had brought the dogs, who are about 2 years old, from Bangkok to his parents' house the previous week, and so far, they had shown no signs of aggression, and his younger brother enjoyed playing with them. So this is a tragic story indeed, because you might think that all dogs are cute and no matter how you train them or like play with them, they can still be aggressive. So it can be a reminder that you have to be really careful when you train these dogs as well.
And how saddening this story is, because actually, of course, the older brother brought these dogs come to the house and just pet them and play with them, but at the end the younger brother died because of the attack. And of course this is a very alarming messages to people who own this dog in your house too, because actually other countries including UK, they already have a ban on this, to having this pet American Bully dog in the UK, because they have the nature of violence.
Yes.
So of course, in Thailand, we still can have the pet, have this kind of dog, but you have to be extremely careful when having this dog in the house, because we don't know when the dog could become violent at the end.
It's not just American Bully dogs, because in some houses, some households do have these type of dogs, whether it's pit bulls or Rottweilers, which are very known to be violent and aggressive. And this is, I think there are 2 sides of it. It's the characteristics of these dogs and how you train them as well. And if you do have these dogs, try not to trigger them with something that makes it angry. I think this is something that pet lovers might be able to understand.
Maybe before having this dog that you mentioned, it's better to talk to the professional first.
Yeah.
How to trim them, how to pet with them, how to play with them at the end, and if you are alone with them in the house, how to behave with them too.
Yes, so that is definitely a big lesson for many of us who wants to adopt a pet, especially pets like these, American Bullies or Rottweilers or Pit Bulls. But if you do not want to end up in this situation, it's better not to adopt these dogs, and look for other dogs that might be more friendly.
Yeah.
That might be a better option, but that is totally up to you. This is just our advice.
Ask professional first.
Yes.
And before you have them in your house.
All right, and that wraps up tonight's edition of Thai PBS World Tonight. Join us every Monday and Tuesday at 6 p.m. on Thai PBS World's Facebook and YouTube Live. And don't forget to follow us on social media and our website, thaipbsworld.com, for all the latest updates about Thailand as well as analyses. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ